Hello and welcome to the WildWestGamer with me, the WildWestGamer, back in the gaming grotto. And it feels good to be back in my chair, my leather chair. Seriously, I'm like Professor X in this thing, seriously. Whoop. Yeah, the channel's got over 100 views. Whoa, it's crazy. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for watching. Couple comments as well, stuff like that. People telling me to check out Series 2, people commenting on the Alien video. Yeah, putting their opinions across, not the same as mine, but that's cool. It's nice to see. And yeah, the channel's really coming alive, really doing well, guys. So thank you very much. It's been under a month, and it's really good to see that it's making progress. And yeah, hopefully it's gonna get better. Like I say, once I get the new house, gonna have a studio set up. Now got unlimited broadband, so I can there's no cap on it. I can just make these videos as often as I want and put them out there. And yeah, so I've got a couple of videos today. I'm going to try and get up and done. I'm not cold anymore, so there's no more duvets. I'm wearing my very manly purple dressing gown. Oh yeah. So yeah, there's nothing stopping me. So first thing is, I'm doing a vlog today. A vlog for horror games. Yes, for the horror genre. It's not really a rant. It's not me giving a bad. For once, it's not a video ragging on something. It's actually me praising something in it. That is that 2013, well, the tail end of 2012 and the beginning of 2013 seems that the horror genre for video games has really come alive. Now, this may be something that has always existed. It's always been something that's happened. There have always been horror games, but for some reason, it really feels like horror games have taken a new direction. And it's not ground that hasn't been tread on before, because like I say in a second, you'll see why. But it is because of the fact that technologies now in the consoles is getting better. We're really getting developers taking elements from Hollywood and from just films in general, and utilizing those to make scarier games. It feels like horror games now are really coming alive. Oh, that's good, squishy. Yeah, so basically that's what sparked me wanting to do this video. Was I just seen the trailer about 20 minutes ago to Outlast. Now, for those of you who don't know what Outlast is about, don't worry, you're not alone. I don't really know a lot about it myself, apart from the game the trailer I watched has this it builds this picture of a secret project started in 1945 by the United States gathering up all these Nazi scientists, like they did, some for rocket technology, some medicine, stuff like that. All kind of shady stuff when you consider a lot of these guys had, utilized slave labor or been at concentration camps, stuff like that. Some really shady, dark stuff. But because of the breakthroughs they've kind of made, through their lack of morality, the Americans kind of gone, well, either we're going to get them or the Russians are going to get them. And seeing as tensions were building between East and West, they grabbed them in this massive brain drain of Germany. So the trailer starts with you getting this bit of backstory that Nazi scientists were brought to America for medical experiments, I guess. The trailer is very vague to build sort of this tension and sort of this intrigue. I'm assuming it's something to do with either like a military program or a health program or something like that. Basically, although it goes through the various decades up till the present day, with patients being experimented upon at this asylum, people being killed, deaths, and the program being shut down, and documents, like the entire documents of the program being destroyed, only a couple surviving. And then in the present day, your character, whoever you are, goes to this asylum. Well, something very bad has happened, evident by the trailer. Your character walks in and there's the wheelchair on its side with the wheel spinning round. There's these soldiers, or security force at least, completely torn apart, some hanging out of like air vents, some ripped in half, blood everywhere, and there's something lurking in the shadows that's tracking you, this horrific creature that's trying to get at you. And the trailer doesn't give you many answers at all. It doesn't give you anything really. It just is simply you with your camera running, moving around. And I'm assuming the reason the game is called Outlast is you have to outlast whatever this thing is. So it may be that this game actually doesn't technically have a very, it's a story. There's only as much story as you discover, a bit like Slender, which I'm going to talk about in a second as well. Now, what I like about this game is, first of all, it seems really keen on focusing on the horror elements. So there's a nice amount of passive tension, just you discovering stuff, walking around finding stuff that's scary. There's also a lot of, really aggressive in your face scares, stuff that's deliberately done to, psych you out. So a lot of good use of, really dramatic darkness and lighting, good use of sort of, your old shock scares, some moves behind you, a noise, a scream, something like that. And the fact is, when the game very much turns from an atmospheric horror game into a very visceral and adrenaline-based horror game, where when this thing finally confronts you, you have to run and run your ass. And there seems to be a lot of very action-orientated movement, like a bit like the smart system in what's it called? Really shitty game that got released. I can't remember. See, I don't. Again, the one with the arc, and they looked a bit like Time Splitters. If you guys remember it, pop in the name in the comments section. But basically like that, where I'm assuming it's a very innovative system where you hold a trigger perhaps and he vaults over stuff. But this guy's running, clearing desks, knocking stuff out of the way, opening doors, slamming them shut. Stuff like it's falling through floorboards in this like sort of decrepit asylum. And yeah, it really looks full on. It really looks like, you're genuinely being pursued by this thing and you're trying to get away. Doesn't seem to be any limitation on where he goes. You could go left, you can go right. It's only really you want to keep away from this creature. What's really nice is, of course, is that, as you're walking through lit parts of the game by the looks of it, you're just simply walking around. You're walking around, you're finding stuff. When you go into the darkness, he pulls out his camera and uses the night vision. Now, this is really great because little bits like that are taken straight from things like Wreck, Cloverfield, Grave Encounters, stuff like that. Really, properly, people know what happens when you get the camera up. They know shit's going down. So that's really cool. Little things like that really are nice. And the game ends on the trailer. Sorry, ends on quite a sort of a rather dead end. To excuse the pun, which is that this thing gets you. You're hiding under a bed. It seems you can choose where you want to hide. So a lot of moments where people will be hiding in cupboards, I'm sure, and stuff like that, if it's possible. But this, you go under this, lock yourself in this patient's room. You go under the bed. The thing bursts in through the door. The door then shuts. The lights are flickering, and you assume it's left. Guy gets his camera out. He's looking. Bam! There's the face. Whack! Has you. Game trailer ends. So I'm assuming, Outlast, the idea is you are supposed to outlast this creature. Now that all sounds really fun because at the moment there's no, like I said, there's no details really given, so you don't know how many of these things are there. There could be more than one. It could just be one tracking you down. But like I said, because the movement seems to be quite free, it could be you have this entire asylum to run around in, discovering the story, discovering the mystery behind it, and this creature's there dogging you. Now, this is quite similar to Slender. See, nice segue, right? Which is Slender, a game which gives you this open world, lets you go through it, doing your own thing. Well, as far as doing your own things, and you're looking for these pages of this book, and once you find the first one, boom, musical cue or sound cue, and then the Slender Man starts tracking you down. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the Slender Man is, Slender Man was this creature concept developed by this internet site to create its own, for a internet competition to create its own scary creature. Can't remember the name of the website. You can find it on there though. And the Slender Man won. And a good point. It's basically this. When you try and describe it, it sounds really dopey. But imagine a really tall, spindly, lanky, blank-faced, tuxedo-wearing, or suit, sort of like funeral suit-wearing being. Now, that doesn't sound scary, but now imagine that this thing, no matter where you run, is going to follow you. Now, imagine it's got this really weird giraffe-like movement. It's quick as well. and it can sort of blend in with the background, not like camo, but like sort of just because it's so still, you just don't really notice it's there. Likewise, if you were to move a phone over it or a camera or something, it makes this really horrible audio noise. It's like screeching noise, and the screen would tear, so you would know it's there. You just perhaps wouldn't know whereabouts it was. That it can get into anywhere, really. It doesn't need to open doors. It can just get into places. And this thing, once it picks you, it wants you, and you are not getting away from it. Yeah, that's why, that's the Slender Man, and he is terrifying. Check out Marble Hornets on YouTube. Seriously, awesome show, and you'll find a reason why you should be scared of the Slender Man. So Slender, yeah, this thing is following you, and as you're running through the forest. Anywhere in this forest, you're looking for these 7 or 8 pages of this book. It's following you. Sometimes you'll turn around, it'll be there. You have to either quickly turn away or turn off your light. And then hope when you turn it back on, he's not there. Because if he looks at you too long, boom, you've had it. He gets you. And you think, well, yeah, all right. Is this really scary? Because the first game was really scary, and it got a lot of rave reviews. But as far as the graphics went, the graphics weren't that great. But it was still really, really scary. And you can see loads of videos of people checking it out, playing it on YouTube, where they are genuinely scared. It's scary. Now, they've remade it. I think it's a HD remake, or it's like a HD remake / sequel with Slender the Arrival, which has updated graphics, new story. I think there's a new creature as well in it. But the bit I've seen the beta being played. I think it was the beta or it was a demo. But it doesn't matter, because again, the way it's been done is fucking terrifying, horrific, genuinely horrific. This thing, like the game, this point, the game has really been updated, because me and my mate were watching it. Mr. Christoph is watching. Hello, you got a shout out. Yeah, we were watching it, and both of us were just like, "Oh man, this game is fucked up," because you will see him at first. You'll see him staring at you from across like a valley or something like that, a creek in this forest, in this wood at night time. Nice amount of fog, beautiful moonlight coming through the trees. You'll see him looking at you. He's not coming toward you, he's just looking at you. He's just in the distance, you just make him out. Now you cross a tree in between the pair of you, he's gone like that. He's gone. Which means the asshole could be standing right behind you. You could not run into him for like another 2-5 minutes. But he's going to be there. You're going to go around that crate, you're going to go around that corner, you're going to go past that tree, and he's going to be there. Now you have to choose between turning off your light or turning and running. That's because both turning and running means it could chase you, but turning off your light means it can come closer and you don't know. Just horrific. And what's great is it really gets in. It becomes a real psychological horror. It really does get into your head. You're going, this guy is anywhere. This thing is anywhere. And the reason why I picked these 2 games is because, and this is why I'm really happy with the horror genre with games. They have really moved away from action oriented, proper weapons based action horror. Yeah, Alone in the Dark, the newest one that came out a couple of years ago, Dead Space, The Last of Us, which is coming up soon. That has kind of got horror elements in it, and I will say a lot of games nowadays do have horror elements in them. And horror can be defined by it's a very vast genre, and includes a lot of different things. So a lot of games do have horror elements in them, even if you don't realise or not. But yeah, games like Last of Us, kind of the new Tomb Raider's got a bit, some creepy bits in it, bits like that. But it's, you still have weapons. Yeah. Oh, and then there's of course the new Resident Evil games. Very action-based horror. You can still, it was survival horror. Though, yes, you are being dogged by stuff, you are being hounded by stuff, creatures, monsters, whatever. You can still fight back. Outlast and Slender seem to be really moving away from that and saying, you know what, you want a scary game? Here's a scary game. You can't fight back. Now that is a really scary thing, because what it means is one enemy, one player, but infinite scares, because you cannot fight back. Now I'm not saying that games that do have you being able to fight back aren't scary, because they are. I loved Alan Wake for the 360. Check it out. Really good game, especially if you're a Stephen King fan. Seriously, it is a really good game. But when you can't fight back against an enemy, that just becomes so much more scarier. And when your only option to run is it means that every corner you take could be a bad decision. It could be your death, because there's someone to say you can't go around a corner, and there's a wall, there's a wall there, there's obstacles in the way, and that is just really, really, really cool, a really nice touch. And I wish more games would implement it. I wish more actual survival horror games would implement that sort of mechanic. I know some do. I always remember Dead Space 1 when you first encounter the necromorphs that burst through the vent in front of you and you have to leg it down a corridor. That's cool, but the game, that was scripted. These games, Outlast and Slender, seem very much it's just unscripted. It's completely free. It's completely up to you how you play it, how you want to do it. You can choose to run. You can choose to perhaps try and face this guy out by turning out your light. Or in the case of Outlast, it's literally hiding. Hide away and trying to not get this thing's attention. But yeah, I wish more horror games, would really try to action survival horror. So would try to and action-based horror games would try to implement this, giving you perhaps a bigger, more freer environment to run around with. Now that people go, well, yeah, but then it's hard for games like that because they can't script their scares. Yeah, but I mean, if you create a subject matter that's genuinely uncomfortable and uneasy, you can achieve that. I mean, BioShock. Now, BioShock was a weird sort of hybrid between, it gave you this sort of, it felt like it was free, like this sort of open world game, but it was actually quite linear. So it had this nice balance between controlling the scares and letting them, just be, just happen, just be there. And again, because of the subject matter, because you were dealing with creatures that sort of were retaining this lost humanity, they were sort of replaying certain aspects of their former lives, but were still these hideously disfigured creatures. It was uncomfortable. Nothing freaks me out more than when I think back to the first BioShock, when you've just literally got to Rapture. You go up the lift and you see the shadow of the mother, weeping over a buggy, pram of her baby. And you're like, God, is this some poor survivor who's managed to, bear with it? It's like, God, what am I going to find in that pram? And then she turns around and she's this hideously disfigured, splicer, and she starts, attacking you. And it turns out that, there was nothing in the pram. She was just going over these hallucinations. She was just replaying her former life. That's scary. That's twisted. That's messed up. So more games really need to play on that. Really, 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 if you, really give us those sorts of, sort of really deep moments, really genuinely messed up, terrifying moments. But still, even if we are going to deal with, games which are very horror based, action based and survival horror, there are still plenty coming out which look really, really good. And of course, another one is Last of Us. Last of Us looks really good. Now, it's really, again, that touches on another kind of horror, which is sort of I guess the horror we know, because it is the breakdown of civilization, the breakdown of law and order and, decent civil, sort of existence. And it genuinely looks really, really thought-provoking. It seems to be a lot of really deep themes there. Joel, the main character, he said, you hear his voiceover in one of the trailers, he says he's been on both sides, which means he's been both a bandit, a murderer, and a survivor. And he's, and the game is probably, well, I'm hoping it will. I mean, this is Naughty Dog, and they are really one of my favourite developers. I think the game's really going to make you question, where is that line drawn between survivor and, well, where does the line, perhaps where's the moral and ethical line for survivor start and end? How far do you have to go to be, to just survive? Can you be morally good in a world where, the rules have completely broken apart? And I think games like that introduce us to the horror of ourselves, which is, what are we capable of? Yes, Joel is, the character. We're playing his, we're creating his actions, how we, in the game. But part of that is our own, part of us is our own judgment. If there's going to be moral choices, that's when we're confronted with how we would play, what we would do. A lot like Fallout 3, a lot like Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 had a lot of horror elements in it. The psychological element to it from Vass. Vass represented the character, a character that had completely allowed himself to be engulfed in the Predator. He'd become the Predator, and a lot like the Joker from The Dark Knight. He'd taken the system which, the system which said that we have to replay what we do. You go to work, come home, pay our taxes, pay our bills, go back to work. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Only a little bit of freedom, a lot of imprisonment and servitude. He saw that, and he said that there was a system that needed to be broken, and so he was breaking it. But by breaking it, by being free, he opened himself up to in suffering and pain and misery. And he's and it was basically like his way of saying to people, if you're not prepared to be free like me, then this is what happens. This is not the civilized world. If you want the civilized world, if you want to be safe, go back to where you came from, the cities, the countries with presidents and prime ministers and politicians and stuff like that. Go back to where the rules which keep you locked in this system also keep you safe. Or you can come out here and be free, but be prepared to deal with this sort of stuff. And again, the game that ended on a choice, the choice, which was almost very much as if it again was Vass's choice to you. Do you pick, this, which allows you to live basically like a king, but means you have to get rid of everything you've ever known? Or do you want to go back to, how the world wants you to be, essentially? But it's safe. You're free of the horror, the nightmare. So games like that really asking big questions. Now, we just had BioShock Infinite out. It's weird, again, a game like that, very psychological. Apparently it deals with a lot of very tough themes, which is good. Really, really, really good. The guys behind BioShock always love it when these guys challenge my perceptions and my notions of what right and wrong, and everything like that. BioShock, I thought, had some of the best storytelling and some of the best overarching themes ever. Really powerful stuff about free will and determination. Really good. And it made you see a man can be controlled very easily manipulated, and what's scarier is we don't realize. So are we being controlled now? A lot of conspiracy theorists reckon we are. They say, there is a world government who's working behind the scenes, pushing us towards this one, united goal or, conclusion, or however you would call it, and that we don't realize it, that we're so celebrity in the media and etc., keep us also focused, on other things. We don't even realize it. Again, BioShock pointed that out. It said, you know what? You think you're free. You think what you're doing is entirely your own choice. And then at the drop of a hat, you realize it isn't. It's a complete lie. Stuff like that, petrifies me, because I'm a person who really likes to think that free will is something we all are in control of. And if we can't be, man, fuck, that is scary. While BioShock Infinite, again, deals with these heavy themes, and they do it really well. Now, but it's this time about race and ethnicity, about how, political extremes, how far do we go in the notion that something is right until we actually realize that it's wrong. It's things like that which I really like to think about, but also things like that which show the worst of the human persona and personality and mind, and not because they're bad people, but because they've been influenced by the overall system. The system has made these people like this. They've played on their weaknesses. Stuff like that is horror. It is scary. Anything which makes you scared is horror. Horror is can be such a generalized term. It's fantastic. I love that. Horror can be anything. It can be visceral. It can be emotional. It can be psychological. It can be personal. It can be universal. So many different types of fears, and it's really great. Rational, irrational. It's really, really good to have so many games which are coming out. Do that. So definitely check out these games. They're definitely worth a look. And really, really keep your eyes peeled for some of the older stuff as well. Now, I said that, of course, horror at the moment is, really making this move towards, less, like I say, less weapon based, combat and stuff like that, and more just being scared, running, fleeing, surviving in the ultimate form, which is again running, running away like a coward. There's nothing wrong with that. If you're scared, you're scared. That's really cool. But like I say, horror as well is a genre that sort of repeats itself. So I would recommend going back to some of the PlayStation 2 era. There were some Japanese horror games. I can't remember the name, but it had you as a young girl looking for your sister. Scary Japanese haunted village, I think it was. Use your camera. You have to use your camera to kill the ghosts. I can't remember what the names again. If you guys know what I'm talking about, check it out. But what I'm saying is, horror has done this before. Horror reinvents itself sometimes by building upon the structures of the old. So, like I say, while horror at the moment seems to be moving away from weapon-based stuff, you can still find some older games which do it, and it's really nice. If you want to see the evolution of it, check it out. Likewise, a couple of years ago, we had, of course, the really sort of the rebranding of the survival horror games with Resident Evil 4. Then we had some stuff with Dead Space. Games really really pushing the boundaries, like see how far they could go. In Resident Evil 5, it wasn't exactly the Resident Evil sequel to number 4 we were wanting, but you know what? Resident Evil 4 gave us Dead Space, and Dead Space has given us Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3 apparently gets really good reviews because it's done co-op, but in a horror game, again, really well, and that's important. I was very, very worried that Dead Space 3 co-op in it, I was like, that's going to kill horror, right? How can you be scared when you've got a friend there? Apparently, again, it really does keep the horror there. It really does keep the tension and sort of the scares going. So that's really good. I'm glad that that's happened. Of course, though, go back and check out things like what I'm playing at the moment. Thanks to Mr. Sidious. Again, another shout out to a friendo. Silent Hill. He let me borrow it. Yep, it has got cracks on the case. I want this as evidence. Look, cracks on the case, on there, on the top. That, not me. So I won't hear bad things said about the way I look after people's games. But Silent Hill, games like that, go back and check. Just check those bad boys out. They are fucking terrifying. They're so scary. I've played 5 minutes of it so far. Gonna get the rest of it done hopefully soon. If I could, grow my balls back after the last time I played it. It's messed up. Again, a game that very much speaks to me. It's about a father looking for his daughter. I'm a father, I have a daughter. It's a very scary, notion to lose a child, especially in somewhere which, makes you want to confront your worst fears. So again, I'm hoping I can get through it, and when I do, I'm sure it's going to probably be a very personal review. So I'm looking forward to that. So, conclusion. Horror really coming along. It's a genre that I think needs a lot more support. I think in the day and age where we get far too many first-person shooters, far too many lackluster titles, far too many broken promises. Horror is a genre which keeps on rebranding itself, reinventing. And it just really pushes the boundaries. It has to, because people get bored. So some scares just get old. So this genre really wants to keep pushing the bar. So I look forward to that. I really do, and I hope it really keeps growing. I hope at the end of 2013 I can do another video saying, wow, what was that year like for how good was that year for horror, etc., and do like a highlight video of my top favorite games and why they scared me. So really look out for it, guys, and really support it. I'd really love to, like some people. Again, I watched a video early on today because I see what other people are saying, like to see what other opinions people share that are the same as my own. And that is a lot of people worry that the video game industry is stagnating. I personally believe that. I honestly do. And this is why I fight so passionately for games which should be leading the way in fresh thinking and free ideas to get more publicity. Really be put out there. The Battlefield 4 trailer just came out. Wow, okay, it looks pretty, it looks really nice, but is it not just the same as what we've already had before? Right, so perhaps that's a video to come. But back with horror, support it, love it, nourish it, help it. Really needs it, guys, because trust me, at the end of the day, horror does so many more interesting things than a lot of other genres even attempt to do. So bear that in mind. So once again, guys, from the WildWestGamer, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave opinions, reviews, comments, all that sort of jazz, all that lovely stuff. Subscribe. Please do subscribe. I'd love to, get some more, get that counter going back up again. It's really nice to know that you guys just like to see my stuff. So there we have it, guys. It was really nice talking to you. I'm gonna go now and go to the toilet. I've not been in like 5 hours. That's got to be bad, right? Perhaps it's good. I don't know. I may just eat a pear. So yeah. See you later. Bye. See you later, guys. Take it easy. Cheers.